Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. John Henry Soto here again, as always, with George Batista. And on your screen, yes, you are correct. Spam. We're going to be talking about spam. Not really.
It's not just in your email.
Yes, it's not just in email. Actually, that's where. Did you know the history of spam?
I think you go through this once when we were.
I did. Yeah, it's not that.
I forgot what it was, but yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah, it had to do with spam was called because that it was actually things that people did not want anymore. So things that people put into the food, it's like the leftover stuff.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Like hot dogs. It could have been hot dogs for all I know. We could have just called email we don't want hot dogs. Did you empty out your hot dog folder?
Hot dog folder.
Yeah. It's all spam stuff. So anyway, welcome everybody. Hope you're doing well out there. It is Sunday night, 7:01 p.m., April 19th, 2026. And today we're going to be talking about not just, spam is very interesting. I think it was an interesting choice that we chose as a food because it's almost a comical thing in itself. It's people eat it by the tons still to this day. I used to eat it all the time. I don't know if you did.
I did when I was a kid. Yeah.
I had spam burgers and spam chopped up into with the rice con arroz con habichuela and spam on the side and everything. It's my son in the background. And it was just a lot of uses for it. So, but ingredient wise, man, you growing up in the Bronx, man, you're not looking at ingredients. You don't know what the hell. You're just eating stuff, and then you get a little older and you start, why is my tongue blue? And why can't I why am I passing stones? And why do I feel weak? And why can't I walk? And then, George and I, as we were a little older, we started researching food and stuff and things that are in the food. And next thing you know, we find out that we're being poisoned. But there is something oddly fitting about using spam.
Hold it.
Starting point. I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
I'm gonna get to announcements. What was I saying? Oh yeah, starting point for a deeper conversation about what we put into our bodies, and in our life, that's very important. So
spam.
That's what we're going to talk about today. And before that, we're going to get into some announcements. George, you go first.
I don't like you, John. That's an announcement. I just wanted to say that.
Pregnant.
It's my second. No, just anyway, yeah. So before we go on, just want to remind. Well, actually, I have two announcements. I want to remind everybody that on Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a Q&A for those of you who are fans of the Wellness Talk podcast, which is my show. So come on and join us. It's going to be on YouTube and Rumble. John's going to be here as well, hosting and having a good time. We're going to be laughing and talking some health, nutrition, wellness, all that type of stuff. So come on by. Should be a lot of fun. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. So that's going to be cool. You could also go to georgebatista.com if you want to watch it there as well. Second one, just really quick. I've started a new community for those of you who would like to join the Wellness Talk community. It's actually a private podcast, separate than what I do. So if those of you who want to join up, you can do so. All the details are at georgebatista.com. But it's a private podcast where you will actually hear me talk about stuff that I cannot go over in the mainstream stuff.
Right.
And you will get audio, but you'll get audio newsletters, you'll get courses, and you will get just tons of extra stuff on that as well. And the cool thing is that you don't have to go anywhere specific for it. You can actually download it directly to your Apple or Spotify.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can listen to it wherever you're listening to.
And it'll be a private.
But it will be private. Yeah. So to anybody else who is not joined, you'll see it
Yeah,
locked.
yeah.
But if
Oh,
you join, it opens up for you, and you can listen to it on
oh, I didn't know
Spotify.
I didn't know that was a thing. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I
it's
like that.
really really cool thing. So anyway, so yeah, it's the Wellness Talk Private Podcast. You can go to georgebatista.com. There, you can sign up. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Fantastic. Awesome. So, my announcements, I have, as some of you know, the JHS Talent Management with Isis Christopher as my first artist. We finally, yesterday, what's today? Sunday. No, on Friday, I interviewed a bass player, which was our final missing piece, and then on Saturday, we all met. Well, me and Isis, and met with our new bass player, and we had a great conversation. And then we after we got off the phone or after we got off our virtual, we called her up. She's a wonderful bass player. Her name is Angel, and she's going to
Oh,
be
cool.
in our band, the band now, the Isis Christopher Project. She's not in this photo here. She will be, because we're having a full meeting next week again, another virtual, and she'll be on there, and hopefully I can get everybody in there. So far, I need one more person to confirm that he can be there, and then we'll have a nice photo of the actual group that's going to put this together. We're very excited. We have some tunes getting ready to go out. We're doing this different, as I told them, and as I told anybody that works with me. I work on my instincts, and that's how I operate. I try not to do what the mainstream says to do. So I'm, instead of going through the channels, or some people say the proper channels, I
Right.
don't do that. I kind of make my own way, and I go around things, and not in a nasty or sneaky way. I just don't think that those ways that are the right thing. And so I'm putting together a package deal project, and then presenting it to proper places. I have a lot of network, a big network of people that I can present it to. And once I get that EPK going with everything, it's going to be flooded, and we're going to get some great stuff. So
Nice.
that's coming up, which I'm excited
Awesome.
about. Um, I wanted to make an announcement about the coffee that I'm drinking, because it was a friend of mine but he hasn't officially launched yet. And on the thing that I have here, the picture, it has the phone number and address and everything. I don't want to show that on there, but anyway, there's a coffee coming out, and I'm having some right now, and it is fantastic, and it's going to be really cool. So eventually, I will. I'm just kind of teasing everybody right now, but it's going to be really really fun.
Maybe you should
Uh,
be a sponsor here.
yeah, yeah, that'd be great. And what else? Yeah, Isis Christopher I already said, and of course my film, which I'm still in the midst of working on.
Nice.
Um, I'm still casting that. I have some other things going on, nothing really that exciting as of yet, but some cool things that I'll talk about in the next couple of weeks. All right. So, um, spam has become a cultural shorthand for questionable food.
Hmm.
The punchline in jokes about what not to eat. Yet, it refuses to disappear. People still buy it, cook with it, and even celebrate it in certain parts of the world. That contradiction is powerful. It shows how something can carry a reputation while still being deeply embedded in everyday life, much like the habits, benefits, and influences we carry without fully examining them. And I, I think that's a perfect place for us to start, because one of the things that we all know, and again, there's a lot of stuff that I think George, now that he has this private podcast, he can go really into details on a lot of stuff, but which I encourage. I'm gonna go on there as well. But I think, like, when you're looking at places like fast food joints and stuff like that, people still do it.
Yeah.
Cigarettes, it says it on the side. You could get cancer and die. And people
Hmm.
are, it doesn't really seem to impinge. So there is this interesting psychological sales pitch that impinges so strongly that no matter what damage it does, or what questionable ingredients are in it, people just still gravitate towards it. It's because I don't even think they think too much about it. Nobody thinks about a hot dog, for instance. I
Hmm.
mean, hot dogs are the devil's food. I mean, there's so much. It depends on which kinds. I mean, I know that they're all beef hot dogs somewhere.
Yeah.
You got to look for them. But I think for the most part, it's all pretty bad. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about today. And George, being a wellness coach and knowing a lot about supplements and food stuff and physical things, is going to be a fun conversation. So join in if you're out there, please.
Yeah, absolutely. The interesting thing about the whole spam thing is if people don't know the history of spam, this is what they were feeding our soldiers.
That's right.
During World War II, to the point where, because I mean, it was mass produced, it was cheap, but there were soldiers that were eating this stuff like 3 times a day.
Oh my God.
You think about that, right? They're in war. They're in war. They need to be sharp. They need to be out there. They need to be doing their thing, and they're eating. This is what they're eating.
But wasn't it better quality of whatever that was? We're talking about how long ago? I mean, we're talking a long time ago, 40s or something.
Yeah,
right?
1940s, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think the quality was a little bit, probably I would say a little bit better, because all the hormones haven't been injected into whatever animals are being, jammed in together. Mainly ham.
Right, but you're correct. But when you compare spam to other foods, especially of today, spam only has 6 ingredients.
Right, even today.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't even look at that. I just assumed that there was like 5,000 things.
No, it's actually, when you measure it towards other foods, it actually has 6 ingredients, and one of those ingredients was added like within the last 30 years, which is potato starch. But basically, it's what is it? Pork with ham,
right?
Right. Salt, water, potato starch, sugar, and sodium nitrate.
Huh. I mean, sodium nitrate, the sugar,
right,
and the potato starch, not good.
Well, of course not. But
and that's, I don't know why they would fill it. Maybe to fill her up, maybe fill it more, make it bigger.
Yeah, some of it was,
especially the potato starch.
Some of it was to balance out the sugar balanced out the potato starch, and then some of it was the consistency, so it doesn't, so that's part of that,
hold
right?
Its shape and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But it's weird how, when they show globs of it being mass produced for our soldiers in World War II, and then all of a sudden, hey, we can can this stuff and we can start selling it to everybody.
Like, the lubrication that we had for our war vehicles. Why don't we just refine it and send it and feed it to our to the American people?
But it's wild.
It seems like whatever is available that is mass produced for a reason, they can't just say, okay, we're done with that. They have to figure out a way to, how can we take this and keep it going, and mass produce it, and kind of this guy says spam sandwiches. Yeah, it does feed a big family.
Feed a big family. It does.
I used to eat spam sandwiches. My grandma and my mom would cook it. You fry it on both sides and stuff, and you put it. And we were a Wonder Bread family,
right?
And we would have it on Wonder Bread. And I gotta be honest, yummy. I would love to find a can from 19, whenever it came out, it was actually mass produced for public. And see the ingredients. I bet you can probably find it online, just to see what the ingredients were back then.
Right.
So I think that's interesting. CG Abrams, thank you very much for joining. So when you look past the joke, spam becomes a minor. Spam becomes a mirror. The 2 R's were very close together. Becomes a mirror. It asks, what are the ingredients we're accepting? Not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. This is kind of like the thing. Like, what are we accepting as a culture? We all consume more than food. We take in ideas, conversations, media, and energy from people around us. Some of it fuels growth, clarity, and strength. Some it just fills space. The danger isn't always obvious. It's in the slow accumulation of things that don't truly nourish us. Just like reading the label can change how you see what's on your plate. Becoming aware of, and I want to ask George about this, becoming aware of what you're feeding your mind and spirit can reshape the direction of your life. Now, you've been doing this show, your show, for a long time.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I'm always interested in is, have you seen with your audience an awareness increase by the articles that you've read and by all the stuff that you have you seen that people are much more aware? We know that that RFK coming into office has really elevated the awareness level. Maybe people disagree with his actions or they disagree with some stuff, whatever,
Right.
but you can't deny the fact that we know more about canola oil, we know more about certain things in our foods. Have you seen that on your show? Because you've been doing it for quite some years.
I've seen it. I've seen it just not just because of RFK. I think, and it's a weird thing to say, but it's the truth. I think the pandemic actually did a lot of that. Okay,
Interesting.
and it's not just because of medication, vaccines, or whatever the case may be. It just, I think that it scared people and made people more aware of health, and
Mm-hmm.
made, it made, just in general, because people, we kind of realized during the pandemic as a society how unhealthy we really are, right? Because there was so many people that became susceptible, not just the obese. I mean, obviously the obese, but just in general, people
Yeah.
were unhealthy, and they realized this. So I think there became a big awareness of that. And from what I've seen in my interactions and stuff with people, and then I think that flow from the pandemic into RFK, then that also opened
Yeah.
everybody's eyes. Well, yeah, ultra processed and all this and blah blah blah. So it's really,
Yeah.
but another thing that it opened the eyes to, though, I think also, is the fact of how much pushback, or how much of a fight there is between the ones who are trying to, like myself and that community, versus the big foods and the big agras and the big oily, how much of a fight there really is. I think a lot of people were asleep and they just ignored that, didn't even think
Correct.
about that, and now it's become such a huge deal.
Yeah, that is true. It's funny because I think that if it was, I mean, not to be conspiracy person, but if there were people that were purposely doing this whole thing, pandemic thing, it's interesting how it had the reverse effect, even though it did damage and it did scare a lot of people, but
Right.
it actually woke up more people, I think,
Yes.
than anything else. I think that's very
Yes.
interesting. And CG Abrams says, we were poor and were raised on canned meat. I wouldn't eat it today unless I have to. Empty calories and junk
Yes. Yes.
fillers. And she has a celiac disease.
Celiac disease. Yeah.
Celiac disease. And what is celiac disease, George?
It's an intestinal issue. It's kind of like it's similar to like what like a gluten sensitivity type thing, right? So it's when you eat certain foods and it really start to get inflamed and stuff like that. So it's and it's a rough issue, that it's tough to kind of get your hands around. There's a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do for it, but intestinal stuff is one of the hardest things to deal with.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different spots of where it can go wrong and where you can have inflammation and stuff like that. So, because you're eating and digesting all the time, it can be tough to handle. But
It can, I'm gonna just post that up there just to we do that. We are not doctors, but George is a wellness professional and knows a lot about stuff. But if you have any questions, please seek the advice of your doctor.
But what's interesting, what I was going to mention is that when you talked about, you talked about the stuff, not only that we're eating, but the stuff that we're feeding ourselves and stuff like that. It's like, you and I talked about this a little bit once, was everything has become ultra processed, not just the food.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, just everything is processed.
Yeah. I mean, unless you have a farm,
right,
and you actually have your crop, you actually till your crops where it's not with it, you don't have any what's the glyphosate and all that
Yeah,
stuff that
glyphosate, yep,
that's added,
Roundup and all that. Yeah,
and you actually grow your own food. You have a cow for your milk. You have chickens for your eggs. You have, that's really the only way today that you can really truly. Because even if you say, okay, I'm going to start eating healthy and organic, organic doesn't always mean organic anymore,
true,
unfortunately.
true.
And a lot of these, the soil that these things are grown, you have to really do the work and go find a farm, a small farm, a local farm. We have, I'm in Tennessee, so obviously we have a lot of different places here that they're growing their cows, and you can purchase, a quarter of a cow, half a cow that'll feed your family, for the
Right,
year. And then get your eggs from there, and you know where everything is coming from. But that's really the only thing, and it's really hard because I think a lot of people just don't have the time. The economic structure that has been created has made it too difficult. Financially it's one thing, but
right,
even if you have the finances, it's still, you have to have the awareness to go out and know what you're looking for.
right.
That's why I like things like like your show and Dr. Berg and people like that, where I can go out and I know now, I can look at an ingredient. I'm so educated now on ingredients. I can look at stuff and know that's bad, that's bad, that's bad.
Right.
Anything that says natural flavors, I already know to put it back.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
these are, and this is just an educated thing.
Yeah.
It's really an important thing. So um it helped me eat healthier options. Okay,
Good. Good.
good. Getting back to working with our hands. That's right. That's right. That's
Yes,
right.
that's
Amish,
right.
Tennessee. Yeah, Amish markets. I tell you, the Amish, man, if you're ever driving by anywhere and you see an Amish market, get in there and get
hmm
yourself some stuff. And CG says, yes, it's very, very expensive. It's expensive, but I think you can actually find things that may be more expensive, but in the long run, one, because the food is more nutritionist is
Nutritious.
there's more nutrition in the food.
Right.
You'll eat less of the food,
Right.
meaning that you'll get more of benefit of the actual thing that's in the food, and you don't necessarily have to feel like you have to go out and get a huge cart of stuff. Also, there's a lot of things that you don't need.
Right.
People buy. I go to listen. I go to Costco to get like some stuff, and Costco has great things. I mean, they have like so many great things, like options that are in not expensive and like good quality. Um, but they also have garbage too. And I'll have a shopping cart and see shopping carts, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my, I mean, what are you doing? I mean, it's just like nothing but garbage in this thing, and they buy in bulk, and
Yeah.
it's really just incredible. CG
Yeah.
is asking, what about genetically modified or engineered? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I want to. Yeah, I want to get to that in a second, but I just have one thing about piggyback on what you said. Of talking about eating and it being more expensive and feeling full and that type of stuff. So you have to remember when you're eating like the ultra processed stuff and the sugary stuff and all that stuff regularly, right? Well, you'll actually end up eating more because number one, it's addictive,
yeah,
right? That's the first
purposely.
thing. Okay, purposely addictive. So you're already falling into that trap. But number two, because it's devoid of the nutrition, it's devoid of the vitamins and minerals and stuff that you need. Your body actually gets hungry because it needs
It's
those
asking for
vitamins and
more of it.
minerals.
Yeah,
Correct.
it's starving.
It's starving for that, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you could
yeah.
say, it's like I remember one one of the scientists who was talking about this, who studied nutrition and stuff like that. He actually says that the obese are actually starving, even though don't let their size fool you. Internally, they are starving.
Yeah, their
You know,
body, that's a reaction of their body. Their body is saying, you're not giving me what I need to
right?
survive. I'm
Exactly.
storing this because I have no
Right.
choice.
Exactly.
It's like you're not
Exactly.
giving me enough stuff, and I think that
Yeah.
that's really where
So
where
that's a big thing, so I think that if you make those changes and you actually eat that good food, you'll be shocked at number one, obviously you're going to feel better, but also you will actually start to be less hungry because now
yeah,
you're giving your body the nutrients. And then talking about the genetically modified, it's interesting. John, you and I have kind of touched on it a little bit and stuff like that
Also, I
with,
just wanted to add one more thing.
okay.
Also, medical
Yeah.
costs.
Yes, you're right.
You'll also save money on that as well because you won't,
Absolutely.
get sick, and
Abs-
that's
no,
yeah,
absolutely. The more healthier you are, you feel, and all this, less trips to the doctor, less trips to the emergency room, all that type of stuff. And again, it's nothing crazy about it. It's just a normal thing. Again,
yeah,
this is again what I did for myself, right? I used to be in the emergency room all the time as a kid. Okay. And I don't have to do that anymore because I rarely get sick, but that's because I've trained my body to be able to handle all the stuff that's out there now.
right. Right.
So,
So
but
the
with the genetically modified stuff, the push now with these big guys out there, and even the government now, is sustainability in terms of food, right? Because they're kind of looking at it in a way of, when you look at the Bill Gates of the world and these guys who are talking about, well, we have to find something, and or if our food runs out, we've got to find something that we can feed people. And so therefore they're running to more genetically modified stuff created in a lab, because if for whatever reason we end up in some kind of starvation or whatever, blah blah blah, with all the farming and all that type of stuff, well, at least we can feed people now. So they're using that premise in order to go into these labs and make more of this stuff.
right. Yeah, it's just I mean, I don't know how much we could say here because we're on some of the platforms that don't allow truth. So it's difficult, because I do feel that, they're misleading to such a degree that they're damaging, and people aren't falling for it. And I think that's
Right.
also another reason to push harder for them,
Right.
because they're not falling for it. I think the appeal thing that's out now,
Yeah, appeal. Right.
is really just such, it's just ridiculous. And then the genetically, what the meats, the I don't know what's it called, the fake meat, basically the lab grown meat,
Lab-grown meat.
just things like that. And and I get it. If you can find some way to create a slop of some sort that can be seasoned but have all the nutrients that can help you. I mean, we remember, in the Matrix, in the Matrix they had this slop that they would eat,
Right.
but it had all the amino acids, it had protein, that's what the guy was saying. He goes, yeah, I like it. It's like cream of wheat, and
Right.
and they, and but it had all the stuff and the nutrients in it for them to actually be able to survive.
Right.
So I get that idea that, Bill Gates, who's really, really a healthy guy, you can tell by looking at him that he's all about nutrition and making sure that everyone is healthy. It's just hilarious to me that's if it was RFK, who's in his 70s and is doing like pull-ups against 20-year-olds, is one thing, or Jack LaLanne or Arnold Schwarzenegger, or somebody that's in the nutrition world. But it's not, they don't, it's like coming from someone who builds computers and stuff. And I think that's sort of always been a red flag since day one.
Right.
And I think and it's okay to question things. It's not it's not bad. It's like, I'm not saying that he's bad or anybody is bad. I'm saying it's okay to question something and be like, hey, can I get more information on this? Can you give me some more details on this? As soon as somebody says, like, don't ask for details. Okay, we're professionals. We know.
Right.
As soon as you get that, you start realizing, oh, we're in trouble. It's like really bad. We aren't training the youth to work with their hands like the old generation, social media and tech. Yep. It's both good and bad. Yeah, I think that, youth, and, I was talking to somebody about that with music, one of the piano players that I'm working with on a project. I was saying how important he's young. He's young and he's brilliant. And I'm like saying he loves Chick Corea and he loves all these Oscar Peterson and all these great musicians. And I said to him how important you are, that you're young and you love this music because you're the one that's carrying it to the next generation. It's up to
That's right.
you.
That's
You know,
right.
no pressure, but all the pressure is on you. It's the same thing with like growing our food. You
Yeah.
know, it's very interesting what's happening right now with Gen Zers because they're what's popping up right now in our cell phone free bars and restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
and you go in and you put your cell phone in a thing and you don't take it till you leave. um and it's sort of like they're saying, I mean, they were raised with it. They don't
Exactly.
know life without the little box, I
That's
mean,
right.
they literally don't. So but they're realizing there was a life, and now because of social media they're seeing what the 80s was like, because there's all
Yeah.
these videos about what the 80s were like and what the 90s were like, and 70s, and you go back and they're able to appreciate that and wish that they
Right.
weren't stuck on this thing, and I think psychologically, I think, humans want to be around humans.
Yeah.
Humans want to interact. That is why we're here on this planet. We actually do love to be together, and we love interchanging thoughts and ideas and having discussions and disagreements and whatever it is. It's healthy,
Yeah.
and they're starting to feel that right now. And now there's all these places popping up that I think is extremely healthy. I think there's organizations like Netflix who really their whole thing is like, they started the whole. I mean, they're the culprits of the binge watch, right? I mean, nobody
Mm-hmm.
was binge watching until Netflix, but they've actually pulled back on that now. They don't do that anymore, and they have now these places that they're building called Netflix House.
Right.
I don't know if you've seen those. A
I've
couple of them.
heard. I heard that. Yeah.
There's two of them. One in Dallas, I believe. One in Pennsylvania, and there's another one being in Philadelphia, and there's another one being built in Las Vegas. And there are these huge, giant buildings that have themed areas and restaurants and stuff, and where you have to go and physically do a thing.
Yes.
So they're betting on that. They're thinking that, what, people like the streaming, but I think people want to start going out again.
Yeah.
I don't trust them that much just
Mhm.
yet. It might be a ploy. It may be some. They have so much money. I think they're upset also about losing the deal with time with Warner Brothers, and
Mhm.
losing to Paramount and Skydance and stuff. And I think that, but there is a potential for that. Um, why did I talk about that?
We were talking about that just as far as tech.
Oh, right, right,
Just
right. So teaching the youth,
yes.
and showing them how things were, and the hope is that the human spirit will prevail,
Right.
and that people will start demanding, you got to give us good quality food, stupid. You know what I mean? Like, stop trying to sell me appeal.
Right.
Stop trying to sell me GMO, 12 feet high corn,
Yeah.
like, basketball sized tomatoes. What are you doing, knucklehead? It's like, that can't be right. Nature, created by God, did not intend for tomatoes to be that size. Scientists in a lab working for people who want to make more money made that.
Right.
So
Right.
it's coming from this I don't know, it just if it was done in a way, understand, like what you said earlier, it's like, okay, well, we need to feed everybody, and we may run out of food or whatever. I mean, I think about that all the time. You know how much chicken is sold every day here in
Mm.
this country? I mean, is that chicken? I don't even know anymore, bro.
Right. I know. I
How
know.
can they sell that much? If you count how many chicken wings are sold to how many chickens are raised, it doesn't add up.
Right. Right.
It doesn't add up. So it makes me wonder, like, what is it? Is it pigeon? I wouldn't even hate it. I mean, if they were just saying, okay, this is a pigeon, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah, ramen. Yeah, the worst ever. Yeah,
Worst ever.
ramen
Yeah.
is really bad. We did.
Yeah.
It's true.
But you're right.
Um,
I think there's going to be. I think you're starting to see, and just like you said, with the especially with the tech stuff, right? It's starting to become trendy to move away from a lot of that. You're starting to see it on social media
that's
itself. You're
very
starting.
true.
You're
It's
starting to
trend.
see
Yeah,
it on
it's yeah,
YouTube and stuff like. They're starting to. A lot of these things are saying, "I'm giving up social media. I'm giving up my cell phone. I'm giving
yeah.
up. I'm turning into a
Even
dumb phone." Or
being
they're going. They're going
promiscuous is going. Yeah, it's not.
right.
Like people will go out. Go ahead.
No, no. I was going to say that they're going back to albums, right?
Right.
Album stores are opening up.
Yes.
You know,
Records are at record high. They,
record
no
yeah
pun intended.
record store. I
Yeah.
mean, stuff you're literally starting to see a pullback, and it's becoming trendy
Turntables are
now.
being sold again.
Yes,
VHS and DVD players are being sold again.
yes,
It just is. I think that's why, and I really feel that it's our generation influenced
yeah,
our kids and our grandkids
right,
to how it was for us,
yeah,
and they're seeing and they're thinking, wow, you know what, we're still in this little box,
hmm
and there's like so much stuff, when we bought a record, you
oh,
know, I
it
mean,
was a
you
big
take the
deal.
the
It was a
xylophone,
big deal.
you open it up, you read the liner notes, you put the record on, you put the needle there. There
Yep.
was this tactile,
Yeah,
beautiful feeling, the smell, the plastic that probably was toxic, but you smelled it and it's like, it was, all of it was just beautiful, Soylent Green.
yeah,
Well, we haven't gotten there yet, but who knows with Microsoft. I watch a lot of people eat out, and it's mind blowing due to the economy. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I was talking to somebody about this too, about eating out. One of the reasons we don't eat out anymore. I mean, not we do eat out. We ate out, but for
Mhm.
occasions and stuff like that.
Right.
Is that I'll go out somewhere, and I don't find the best meal
Mhm.
that I can make at home. It doesn't blow me away. Like
Right.
there's a burger spot here that I really like. It's a place, and we like to go there a lot. Called Nadine's. Shout out to Nadine's. We love them there, and we go there, and they have great, very good, just really good food.
Mhm.
That's once in a while we go there, and it's not cheap. We go out, spend $100, for all of us to eat one night. $100 will feed my family for like a week and a half at
Right.
home with
That's right.
home cooked meals. You know what I mean? So, but I think that that's part of it. I go non sequitur here a lot. Sorry, folks. Record stores are best ever. Yep, I think they're coming back, and I heard also Toys R Us is having
Yeah.
a comeback.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Barnes and Noble opening up. I think like
Mhm.
60 stores when they had just closed like 60
That's
stores.
wild.
Yeah, because people are liking books again.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are liking the actual. I'm telling you, there's people want to feel. And another thing was ownership. And George and we talked about this in the past. And this all has to do with spam. Trust me, but we used to love to own the thing,
Yeah.
right? And somehow, brilliantly, I mean,
Mhm.
they put it was sort of like Obi-Wan going, "You don't need physical items. You will only have digital zeros and ones on your phone. You will pay us monthly to listen to the music that you think is yours."
Right. Right.
And we all fell for it.
Yeah.
We literally fell for it. I mean, I still have records, and I still have CDs, and I still have cassettes. I still have some cassettes, but I gave away a lot of stuff too. I
Right.
lost a lot of stuff. So I think that that's part of what's coming back, which is wonderful.
Yeah, it
People
is.
are
I
realizing
mean,
we don't own it.
it was, and well, again, it was like, well, everybody wants convenience. So now they don't have to run out and go to the store. They could just
That's
press the button
where
and there it is. It's all
that's where
convenience,
they
right?
get it. It's always
But
convenience that
but and it goes back to, and again, you can apply this to the food too, right? The convenience of the food, the convenience of going to get fast food really really quick instead of coming home and actually making your own dinner, making your own food. And it's like in all industries you can see that. Okay, and yeah, maybe we had to wait to go to Tower Records
Yep.
or the Wiz and buy the cassettes or
The
buy
whiz.
the Wiz. Remember that? Nobody beats the Wiz.
The whiz.
And to buy the album that we're waiting for it to come out, and then it comes out and we run to that. You know what I'm saying? But
Man.
the point is, it was an event. We
It
were
was
so
yeah, you
excited
had to
about
work
it.
for it.
Absolutely. And
and then you appreciated it
you
more.
appreciate, that's the thing, you appreciate. We
Yeah,
ran home and we listened to it, and
yeah,
John and I used to go get videotapes of concerts
yeah.
that you couldn't
Video
find
castle.
anywhere, video castle, and we used to
Yeah.
rent all these things, come home and watch these things for hours.
Man, I remember, again, a lot of this has to do with ingredients, and I think that's kind of like the theme of today's show is
Yeah.
with spam. But I think it's I remember some of the greatest moments, and I remember this was a Melissa Etheridge. I was listening to the radio,
Right.
WNEW, right? Scott
Oh
Muni.
yeah, Scott Muni.
Yeah, and I was listening, and this song came out, and it was Like the Way I Do by
Hmm.
Melissa Etheridge, and I was like, damn, I was like, who in the world is this?
Right.
I mean, she's unbelievable. Not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, travesty. I
Wow.
was happy, by the way, Phil
Phil
Collins.
Collins. Yes,
Thank
finally.
you.
Oh.
Thank you, God. I mean, good Lord, what is wrong with you guys? The Hall of Fame is just a joke anyway, but still, at least they're recognizing him.
Right.
So, but I remember hearing the song on the radio, and I was like, and CG just said, Tower Records. That's exactly where I went.
Yeah.
I went to Tower Records, and I left that day. I was like, and I went. I think I went to two places. I went to there was another place. What was the other place? There was Tower Records, and there was another one that I cannot remember now.
There was the
Also
Wiz,
famous.
right? Tower Records.
Not the Wiz. It was another one with
Sam Goody.
Sam Goody's. I went to Sam Goody's. They didn't have it there.
Right.
I walked over. There was Sam Goody. It was on Broadway in Manhattan,
Right.
in New York City. And I walked over to the big Tower Records that was there. And I went through and pulled out her album, her first album, self-titled, and I ran home, and that was my, and I was just so excited. I had
Right.
that. I had to take. I was in the Bronx.
Mhm.
I had to get on the subway. I had to walk. I went to two places. I think it was even cold that day, and I walked to the other place
Mhm.
and got it. And it was just that journey did not feel like I was, oh, I gotta go.
Right.
It did not feel that way. It felt like
Right.
I was on the hunt
Yeah.
for art.
Right.
And it made me excited. You know what I mean? It was just great. There aren't any good radio stations anymore either. That is true. Well, radio stations started going down quite some time ago. Probably say about 25 years ago. They started being purchased by bigger conglomerates, and then they just kind of ran the same kind of systems and same kind of programming. They decided what songs were going to be popular. Radio has always been a problem with payola back in the 60s and all the controversy that happened there, and DJs just being paid.
Yeah.
Here, play my record. Here's $100, $1,000. Okay. And it's, that was I have a feeling that that's still going on to a certain degree, maybe not so out in the open, but radio people are friendly with with record labels, and why wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
It's like, why wouldn't you be? So it is an amazing amazing thing. But local radio stations are good if you can find a good local radio station, one that
Mhm.
plays music, one
Right.
that preferably, I listen to a couple of local stations here that are pretty good. A lot of country, but pretty good stuff. What were you saying, George?
No. I was going to agree with you on
Yeah.
all of that.
So the real message isn't about rejecting spam. It's about awareness and intention. If
That's it.
something, huh?
No,
Yeah,
that's
it's
it.
about
Yeah.
awareness and intention. If something that's often joked about as bad can still hold a place on the table, then it's a reminder that we don't always act in alignment with what's best for us.
Mhm.
And this is what George was mentioned right now
Yes.
about convenience.
Yes.
Convenience. Why did Blockbuster lose out to Netflix? Convenience. Why did Toys R Us lose out to Amazon? Convenience.
Yep.
Why did we lose out to Tower Records and to Sam Goody? Convenience.
Yeah.
It's on our phones. We can just listen to everything on our phones. The iPod, ruined everything, right? I would love to run an indie sale. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yes.
You can do it today. I mean, with iHeart, you can start a radio station, promote it, start playing your songs, and you can do it now today. Actually, it's not incredible, but there's not the airwaves, it's the internet, but
Right.
you can still figure that out. um yeah, so that's the convenience is really where the thing is. The goal is to close that gap, it's to try to figure out where it is that the convenience has become this thing, and why is it so why did we need it to begin with, do we, and then you close that gap, you start, you know getting rid of certain things, and saying, okay, I'm only going to listen to, CDs. My car
Right.
doesn't even have a CD
Right.
player.
Right.
It's like I haven't had a CD. I've never had it. My first car, so I never even had a CD player to begin with, or even a
Mhm.
cassette player.
Right.
Like on your Chevette. I think you had a cassette player, right?
I did. I did.
And you
Yeah.
go sideways. And it was just a wonderful that sound
Yes.
of that cassette going in and closing. I mean, that's a great sound. The sound of a needle hitting a record.
Yep.
I mean, that's the best.
Yeah.
Those are ingredients that you cannot find anywhere. Those are just you need the actual authentic thing. Um, get minds off money and back into integrity. Absolutely,
100%. That's so
absolutely.
right. That's so
So
right.
to choose better ingredients is really what we need to do, not just in diet, but in knowledge, purpose, and spirit. Because at the end of the day, what you consistently take in physically, mentally, and spiritually becomes what you're made of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. And one of the things you can look at, and John said it perfectly when he said, choose to own CDs, choose to own whatever it is. And again, you can choose that even on the food side as well, right? So
That's true.
I've in this whole health journey and just in my own financial journey and all the journey, I decided at some point, and that I said, I don't want anybody controlling me.
That's
I don't
right.
want to be controlled by
That's right.
anybody. I was controlled when I was like 15 years old by my parents. I don't want to be controlled now. Okay, and because you fall into that trap of control with the food, with the music, with the tech, with all this stuff, right? You become, you get to the point where you're not even thinking, because everything is being thought for you and you're just following along. So I said, no, I'm going to control everything, or
Mhm.
as much as I can anyway. So I started to control tech and in the intentionality of using it. I control food. I've been doing that for a long time, right? Because I said, I'm not going to be a victim of all this.
Right.
I'm going to control what I eat. Okay.
Correct.
You're not going to tell me what I'm going to eat. I'm going to control. Yeah, it may be not as convenient, but it's okay because I'm choosing to do it,
Correct.
and I'm getting control over that. Same thing with streaming, same thing with whatever. I'm starting to go back to a more manual way
Yes.
of living
Yes.
and being intentional about all the things that I do, the way I think, and all these things. And it really helps me because I found myself coming up with ideas now that I didn't think about before.
Sure.
So I would say that to the folks out there, don't let all this stuff control you.
Mm.
You be on purpose and you start to control the narrative. You start to control these things. And again, going to the food, you know take decide, okay, I'm going to control what I'm going to eat, and I'm going to take one thing out of this diet and replace it with something a little bit healthier this week.
Mm.
And you can do it week by week. You can do it, whatever, just little by little. It doesn't have to be all. People get this notion that they have to change everything. I got to join a gym and I got to go on a strict diet and I got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
No, you do it little by
Little by
little.
little. Yeah.
And and in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you're going to go back and you say, wow, I'm starting to feel better. I'm getting a hold of this, right? It takes 21 days to create a habit,
Yeah.
roughly, so you can do it, journal it, whatever the case may be. And again, do it with everything in your life.
Yeah.
And if you start to control everything in your life, I'm telling you, you're gonna feel better physically, but also mentally, because
Yeah.
you have that control.
Yeah. That's awesome. And CG says you are a fantastic role model, which he is for sure. One of
Thank
the
you.
things that I always advise is also get yourself a book.
Hmm.
A book. Get yourself a little. You go to anywhere. Go to Walmart, and it's $1, $2 maybe. You get if you want to get yourself a nice one. It'll
Right.
be $8.
Right. Right.
And then that becomes literally becomes where your life where you organize all the things that George just mentioned. This is where you actually set it up. You
That's right.
have your battle plans, you have your ideas, you have sections that, and I have, there's so many things in there that this is where I have my thoughts, things, projects that I'm working on. And then especially when you're first starting out, because you have to, like, the way I look at it is, where is the one area in your life where where's the ruin? Is it in
Right.
relationships?
Right.
Is it in your physical health? Is it your job? Is it, these are the three major ones, right? It's like relationships, your physical health, and where you work, and your environment, right? Those are major, major things. Take the one that you feel is the most important, that you need to handle or get a hold of. And then once you get a hold of that, now you have to figure out, what am I going to do about it?
Right.
How am I going to correct this? And there's enough information out there, like for nutrition. Watch George's show, right? Watch Wellness Talk for nutrition. You can ask him questions. There's so many people online. If it's relationship, you can do the same thing. Are you in a toxic relationship? Do you feel, are you being abused mentally? Be honest with yourself. And this is
Right.
like, this is a hard thing to do, because you got to write it in. And don't put it into your phone.
No.
Don't put it into your phone. The phone is not the place to take a pen, and in the physical universe, you write, because when you're doing this, your physical body is putting this here. When you put your thoughts into a little machine, zeros and ones, it's out there in some digital world on some
Right.
cloud somewhere. This is here now, and I think that really makes you more aware that you're involved in it.
Right.
You're the only person that can actually help you.
Yes.
You'll have help along the way and people supporting you, but at the end of the day, you're going to wake up with yourself. You're going to go to sleep with yourself every single night until the end. And why not wake up knowing that I'm here for myself? I'm here for
Right.
me. I'm here.
Absolutely.
I'm working on this. And the naysayers and whatever you have in your environment, you have to overcome that.
That's
That
the
could
tough
be the
part too.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that could be the thing that's really ruining.
Yeah.
That could be a ruin. And finding a ruin in yourself and in others that you're trying to help is a key thing. You have to
Yeah.
find out, what is it that's ruining them. What
Yeah.
is it that you feel that you really need to overcome. Well, then that's where we're starting.
Right.
That's where we're starting. We're going to actually handle that. I'm telling you, once you take responsibility for that, because it is a responsibility, once you take responsibility, everything else starts leveling off. Things start getting better. You start feeling better. You start coming up with better ideas, especially what George just said. When you disconnect from
Yep.
from certain things and you simplify things, you start getting more ideas. Why? Because now your energy is not on these things. You have it
Right.
free. It's a free energy. You have free spiritual connection. It's you're free,
Right.
and having that space and having that opportunity to confront that part of it, it makes all the difference, because now you're not afraid of it. You can just be like, okay, good, this is what I'm confronting right now, that's what I'm going to do. And it's just an amazing thing. So um
And one thing you
I practice to help others. When someone hurts me, that is how I turn it around. That's awesome.
yeah. Yeah. And one of the things you
Awesome.
realize when you start to practice things that way, and you start to go uptone really, and you end up, and you're really doing this for a long time, and you kind of stay up there, right? You start to notice the people around you,
Yes.
and you start to they become more real to you, and you start to notice their personalities. You start to notice the way they do things and say things and stuff like that. And then it's a weird thing, but you kind of almost like you back away and you look and you go,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I understand
Yeah.
you now. I understand you and why you're just saying it. And maybe you don't want to, I don't want you to be in my life all the time. Maybe,
Yes.
maybe I need to kind of disconnect from you,
Yes.
whatever the case may be. But
Yeah.
you start to have an awareness of all those people around you. It is very interesting.
Yeah. And I think sometimes also people around may not be, sometimes, not all the times, um it frightens them
Yeah.
that you're
Yes.
getting that well,
100%.
and it's also the audacity that you have
Right.
to think that you can get better,
Right.
and when you're surrounded by that, it's really a dark place to be in. you have to find the light. You have to move away from that, and there's two handlings in everything, right? There's two ways. You handle it or you disconnect from it.
Disconnect.
That's it.
Right.
There's nothing in between. You can't be half pregnant. You have to
Right.
go, you have to just do it. And I think that when you're when you're able to actually rise above to be able, like George said, you go back and you can see
Yeah.
individuals. That's because you rose to a certain level where you can actually see where you are,
Right.
not just where they are,
Mm-hmm.
but you can see where you are and where you want to be. And because you are be able to do that, now you can see clearly out there,
Yeah.
and then you can say, okay, I don't want to hang out with this person too much. And
Right.
this is a lonely journey. Like, I have a lot of friends and I have a lot of acquaintances. I have my family, and I have friends, George and I are related, so we're family. But at the end of the day, we are kind of alone in those thoughts. It's like, and the quiet work is where it all happens.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. George and I right now are just riffing, we're talking, we're having a good time, we're doing this show. We do this every Sunday night. I do my show Monday through Friday. Georgia does his show, and that's all great and that's all fun because we feel like we're giving back and we're helping and we're connecting with people. That's awesome. But the quiet work, when you're sitting and there's nobody around and you're sitting there thinking,
Yeah.
sometimes looking into a wall and just staring and not really knowing what the next move is, then you go to your book and you
Right.
start going through your notes, and maybe you start reading something that inspires you. You start reading whatever it is that kind of gets you. You start watching a video. I'll watch a music video sometimes. I'll watch, I just saw a live clip of a video I never saw before of Rush live
Mm.
somewhere, and it was an old thing, and I watched it, and whew, it just brought me out of whatever I was with. I just felt so energized. I saw a couple of things, Clapton thing video that I saw, and then that quiet moment, that reflection, it feels just amazing. It feels just amazing. Amen. Love the show. Very insightful. Thank you so much, CJ. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Good night. God bless you. Awesome. She has some great comments. But yeah, that's the key thing. That's
Yeah.
so important to really to look at that, because, man, so many people see what's out there on social media and they think that that's real life,
Right.
and that's just a very thin veneer of what's underneath. It's like the iceberg thing. It's like you see that tip,
Yes.
but man, what's under there is like you don't know. It's a lot of stuff. And I try to show as much as I can from all sides. But it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. It's and what I said last week on one of my shows, I was talking about respecting yourself,
Yeah.
and having and realizing that, like, yeah, I should respect myself. I should look around and be like, what have I done? We're so used to, like, oh, well, other people help me, or I have I have this thing that I do, but I was helped by a lot of people. But you know what? You're still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Respect yourself and respect your time, and I think it's a much better way to get to the and to a better place, and also avoid spam, because
Yeah.
spam is really the whole idea of this episode really was about ingredients that are bad for you, right? That but are cloaked in something that's convenient.
Right.
That's the moral of the story. That's the
Right.
moral. That's the purpose of what we're talking about today.
And it's the ingredients, in anything, to success in anything.
Yeah.
Whether it's the nutrition thing, whether it's finance, whether it's music, whatever it is, there are ingredients in there. And like,
Yeah.
there's good ingredients and bad ingredients and stuff like that. And you have to, again, have that awareness to be able to find those ingredients that work and can lead you to, where you want to go.
Absolutely. Super important. Awesome. Yeah. We always have these conversations and we always don't know where they're going, because we I have some stuff that I have down, but a lot of this is research stuff,
Right.
through online, and just ideas that I have and concepts that I have of things. The main thing is really, you know, awareness and intention.
Yep.
You know, that's really the whole point of what I was talking about is you have to, you know, have that. How do you have that? Well, you have to make your way. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and am I ask yourself those questions. Am I really, really happy, or am I just saying I'm happy because I want them to think I'm happy? You know, it's like,
Right.
and sometimes that's a tough conversation to have because as soon as you admit it to yourself, then you realize that you can't fool yourself anymore. You're done.
Correct. You're confronting
And
it.
yeah, and many people have so much where they fool themselves into thinking that they're in a different place and they're not,
Right.
and they go around fooling themselves, and it's like, oh, it's a pretty comfortable place to be
Yeah.
until somebody points out, yeah, it's not really that, you know, and then you start really feeling the pain and the you know. So I think that's where we're going to end off today. Want to thank you all for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you being on, and we appreciate the comments. Thank you to our I guess our co-host. She came on and she was great.
Yeah.
CG Abrams, thank you very much. We appreciate it, and we'll see you all next next Sunday night. As always, my show Monday through Fridays at 7 a.m. Central. George, you can catch George on Sunday nights as well as 7
7
p.m.
p.m. Eastern
Eastern
Standard.
Standard Time. The wellness talk, and don't forget, coming up in a few days actually is
Hey,
April 22nd.
Q&A.
Q&A with George Batista. So come on
Hey,
and
I clean
ask
up.
your questions to George. And
I
yeah,
clean up pretty good.
yeah, you saw that? Amazing. That's
Hey,
a
nice
nice
little
suit.
suit there.
Yeah,
Very nice. Yeah.
I didn't know Sears still made suits. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Love you all. You're all fantastic. George, it's always a pleasure. We'll see
Thank you,
you
sir.
all next week. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you all. And as always, peace.
Peace.